So I'd now like to hand over to our guest, Barry McCollum, Managing Director of EventMap, and thanks for your time.
Charles, thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay, my name is Barry McCollum. I'm Managing Director and co-founder of EventMap. We're a spin-out company of Queen's University of Belfast. We specialise in solutions that incorporate optimisation and scheduling within planning and management of organisational resource. Sorry, excuse me. And our size, we've 24 people in Belfast, 7 people employed in and around the Midlands and London area. And then we've an army of 15 to 20 associate consultants that work in various projects for us. Interestingly, we work in services and software and a combination of the two, so that gives us a wide reach. Up until 2015, our approach, like I imagine many of your approach listening, was just to look for tenders, wait till companies come to us, respond to tenders, and sell software that way. That changed in 2015, and from that we've been on an exponential growth trajectory, and it's very much down to learning and understanding what's out there and how to get people to buy software from you. It's hard to believe, but people have real difficulty in understanding how to go about transactions and how to go about buying software off you. So all of this is all about making that as easy as possible. And there's all sorts of benefits to making that as easy as possible. What happened in 2015 really was we were providing some services through Capita to one of NHS trusts in London, one of the largest acute hospitals, King's Hospital, and they were using our room booking software, and they said they would like to buy it off us, and then started a whole series of questions for procurement saying, look, there's a problem, we can't buy the software. And that brought us down. What do you mean you can't buy software off us? Because it can't be a direct award. There's only certain ways that procurement can actually purchase off you. Now, we work across a number of sectors: education, health, policing, defence and media. And all of them have different ways of procuring, different attitudes of procuring, different frameworks, different partners. So as with all other aspects of our business, we need to know our business. And there is no real easy fix to this. This is a constant learning process and always trying to understand. And it goes at all levels within your organization. And everybody needs a hand in this. And there's a lot of commitment to it in terms of understanding what material is required. I'm going to talk here a little about the frameworks that we're on. And that's only a percentage of the frameworks that are available. But I think one of the main benefits of being in the frameworks earlier on, they make you get everything in order. They make you get all of your policies in line, because they ask you all those difficult questions about what is your policy on this, what is your policy on that, what are your insurances, what level of insurances do you have? And this raises the question, well, what do I actually need? So it allows us to put all of these in place. We're involved in Crown Commercial Services, which is a big framework. It's actually a framework of frameworks, and I'm going to say something on that. G-Cloud 11, which is now G-Cloud 12, is a very important one for us. And we sell software through that, and people can come to that government, local government, central government can come to that directly, and they can purchase off you directly, and that's very useful. Or they can run a mini competition. They don't have to purchase off you. They can actually go and see who's actually on and who provides these services. And there's other value being on G-Cloud 12, which I'll come back to. Digital Outcomes and Specialists 4 are also part of the Crown Commercial Services. And that is a framework for particularly government organisations go out that don't want off-the-shelf product, a commercial off-the-shelf product, a COTS product. They don't believe something is available very often, so they will want something bespoke development for them. And we have had a lot of success on that particular project or in that particular framework. And in fact, once you become visible on frameworks, people come to you, and then you can convince them that actually you do have those COTS products, and you can develop the relationship from there. So that's another one, and I'd say a little more about Crown Commercial Services. Bloom Procurement is a big sort of organisation for us. They started off and do a lot of work in the north and northeast of England. We work and do quite a bit of work for the Metropolitan Police in London. And to get into the Metropolitan Police in London, they have a layer of Bloom Procurement. They have outsourced all of their procurement through Bloom. So you need to understand Bloom. Everything is published through Bloom. You need to be on their frameworks. You need to be able to navigate that. You need to know the people within Bloom, and then they come to you. So I think there's a lot of, as with all aspects of business, there's a lot of building relationships with these people within the frameworks, because then they come to you, they think of you, they send things to you, they say, have you seen this? Have you heard of this? And they help you in terms of what the client actually wants. Construction Line is, it's a sort of a macro one. It's a large one in London, and there are a number of frameworks underneath it as well. I think it's a very good one. We actually have only had one piece of work off it over this last 3 years. But in actual fact, this was the main one that made us got all of our policies in line. Now we have all of those policies. So every other framework we go to, we have them, we can upload them, we can update them. They actually make you update them. They come out every 6 months. If there's any government legislation that requires an updated policy or a new policy, they ask you for that. They make you update your insurances, your ISO. They were the ones that brought us to, we have 4 ISOs now. These are all because of the frameworks. We just got recently awarded 27001, which is very important because that's cropping up on other opportunities, other frameworks, other tenders. So Construction Line is a good one. Healthcare Europe is particularly good because it has given us a lot of opportunities within health, both within the UK and on a European basis. And we're sort of doing a lot of work in networking with these people as well. Insight are interesting. The story I told you at the start about King's Hospital, how we ended up selling them software was on a 5-year deal through a company called Insight. They're based in Manchester. They're actually a partnering company. And they're somebody that we are working with quite extensively now in terms of partnering with all of the other transactions that they can offer in terms to the wider market. But they actually set themselves up as a framework. So companies can be a partner, but they can also set themselves up under the rules of procurement as a framework, and they can run that framework. So people can actually go directly to them and buy off you without you having to go through a tendering process. Once again, this is all very dependent on the sector you're in, and it's just getting to know the sectors. How do they purchase? What software do they use? What services do they use? How have they purchased those in the past? So I would recommend groundwork done on that, and then go and look at those particular frameworks. Otherwise, certainly from my own point of view, there's a sort of a sense of panic almost that we need to be in as many frameworks as possible. As I said at the top of this, there are a lot of work, there's a lot of updating, there's a lot of responses required. Your biggest success is to be as clever as possible and fine-tune your responses on what ones you're on to the client base you're trying to sell. That way you get much more success than a scattergun approach of trying to fill as many frameworks in as possible, putting as many nets out there as possible and waiting for work to come in. That isn't a particularly good strategy, and that has not worked for us. It has been the amount of time we have put into individual clients and individual frameworks to get to those particular clients. So it's just understanding how clients transact, how they've transacted in the past, what their procurement teams are comfortable with, and then putting yourself in that chain of events that you are seen and that you can be bought of. We started off selling to education. Now, education is a completely different sector and how it deals, particularly university sector. Universities have their own procurement departments and they like to run their own tenders. I think this is moving, and this is moving more to frameworks. Health in particular are very much into frameworks. They don't so often go through their own procurements. But universities very much go through their procurement, so we spend a lot of time looking at education consortiums. Luckily, a lot of them have got together, which I'll give you examples with, and we sort of monitor that as well. An interesting one, we work quite extensively for a major health trust in London called Centre North West London. They have their own procurement department, and they actually set up their own framework to get around, well, not get around, to comply with OJ rules. They set up frameworks and they put lots A, B, and C. And this is a very common thing. The more I work with health, the more I find out about this. They put specific requirements that they want in lot A, B, and C, and you have to look at which services you fit the profile best, and then you respond to those. Very often, in this case, we responded to lot A, B, and C, but we only got into lot A and B. But from that, we've got in and we've expanded our reach within that particular trust and within other trusts. So This is all a roadmap. It's a way of getting into the buyer to allow you to transact, and then you create more networks from there and find out more from that particular point. So I would recommend very much an incremental approach, but a top to bottom approach in terms of very senior management overlooking at this right down to the lowest level with you in your company, because that also has the benefit of making sure everybody understands where you're going as a company, what sort of work you're going after. Okay, so I'll just go into, just to give a little bit more of the complexity of this, the CCS framework. This is definitely one, any of you selling to government, this is one that you should be looking at and you should be on, because the number of times people say to me, Barry, how do we buy software off you, or how do we buy services? Are you on CCS? Now, you need to be on CCS, or you need to be partnering with companies that are on CCS. For instance, we work with the MOD. We don't have any direct awards to the MOD and Defence Infrastructure Organisation, but we do work with and partner with a number of companies. Mace is our biggest one. So we work with them. They're a prime. They're one of the leads on the CCS on a number of these particular sub-frameworks, and then Mace are allowed to outsource to us, because the government have a mandate that any contracts that are awarded to the primes, there has to be a 15% SME involvement. So that's another good strategy. Just don't look at how the customer transacts, look at who they transact with. Decide whether you're competing with that company, or can you cozy up to that company and partner with that company. And Mace is an interesting one as well, because we partnered with Mace. We've now got quite a bit of work coming out from Andover and DIO, but Mace have won a major contract with HS2, and they have come back to us saying, right, we need some of your expertise within this particular contract. So we hadn't thought of getting involved in HS2, but because of that, because they know us, all of a sudden you're in. So in many regards, the partner acts like your procurement framework once again. Okay, so we're on 2 here, and we should be on more. And this is always the case. The more you listen about the number of frameworks, you're always thinking, we should be on these, we should be on more. But we get work from G-Cloud, which is G-Cloud 12 now, that's just been accepted, and the DOS Digital Outcomes and Specialist 4. We just picked up a really nice piece of work from Maudsley. It's on our LinkedIn yesterday, actually, from Maudsley Mental Health Trust, which is about £200,000 piece of work to develop them inpatient scheduling and booking management system. So there's all sorts of stuff come out that you just wouldn't see if you weren't on specific frameworks. So it's a lot of work, but have a look at every one of these. See what your services best match up to what they want, because that's what the customer's doing. The customer is looking at all of those. They want solutions, but they want to know the companies that can provide under these. So I think it's really worthwhile taking time out and going through these and seeing where you fit in. And this is only CCS. As we've seen earlier on, there are other these macro frameworks that I would say that have sub frameworks. But really, every framework I come across, there seems to be some sub frameworks underneath it. So, okay, universities, as I say, a particular breed. Like we work widely across. We started off in universities, but we're having more success across education in general, I would say now. More of the smaller institutions, and very much their procurement straightforward. If it's under a certain amount, the transaction, they can come directly to you. If it's over, then they have to go to the tendering process. They can go directly to tendering, or they can come to one of these consortiums. And these consortiums then have a lot of companies like ourselves all checked out, and they would suggest who the university or the smaller institution needs to go to. So there's the London universities, the southern universities, northwestern universities, northeastern, Wales, and Crescent Capital Consortium. Okay, so that's just a range of sort of consortiums that you should be on if you're working in a particular sector. I think my point is, know your sector and know what we've talked about, frameworks and who people transact through, but what are these consortiums that are out there that you should be monitoring, that you should be talking to people. I think there's great value in talking to people still. There's great value in getting on saying and making people aware at all levels what you provide in terms of your benefits, pains, gains, documents, those sorts of things, and making sure that you are forefront in people's minds on these types of consortiums, because then people will bring opportunities to you. Okay, right. Other tendering is a time-consuming, difficult and causes all sorts of angst within the company, I have to say, but it's something we've done. We've built up a huge amount of data and information on how to go about answering questions. That's a good thing and a bad thing. You've got a resource. You know roughly, here's the type of questions that are being asked, here are the types of answers. You must be careful to update your answers going along, because certainly from a software development point of view, that changes and can change quite substantially depending on products and various branding and various functionality as well. So you have to be careful. And also, and it's the most obvious thing in the world, it's making sure to answer the question. And you know, I've been told that since I was in primary school, but still I'm told that and reminded of that. And so much so, for instance, we work with the MOD. There are companies out there, particularly in London, and I'm thinking of one particular, Wand, they're called. That's all they do. They specialize in answering questions for companies, because there may be 10 questions asked. To get through to the next layer, you have to answer those questions exactly. Doing it yourself is very difficult. So we would employ them, and they work on sometimes on a daily basis, or they can work on a percentage if you win the contract. So it's absolutely worthwhile seeking out, are there any helpers out there that actually help you fill these frameworks in, or help you fill these tenders in? It's very easy to think that you know the moat yourself, but these people, they're also well networked as well, and they can introduce you to all sorts of people. So once again, this is about talking to people and networking, as it always comes down to. Contract Finder, very useful. And this is really good because we're associated with the likes of Insight. Insight will bring an opportunity to us, but immediately you're in with Insight. If you get that business, you're into at least 5% handing it over to Insight. But very often the contracts will come out on Contract Finder first. So that being the case, as soon as we get it, we alert the people we're partnering with. We know about this, because obviously you're trying to create a good relationship and you don't want to be a smart ass about it, but you want to let people know, look, we know about this and we're on that. Once you see the contract, it's worthwhile reading the contract in detail and deciding, or the tender, do we want to go for this? And I'm thinking of this because we had a recent case where it come out. It was basically a room booking and training scheduling piece of software. And it looked very much like ours, only there was some odd phrases that we weren't used to seeing. We did a sort of a general look on the web, and we found that the actual requirement was taken specifically off a web page of one of our competitors. That sort of thing, we decided not to go for it, because there is a possibility that people are going out to tender also because they're bringing their incumbent in. But obviously you just have to be aware of that, and you have to be aware that tendering is time consuming, as all of this is, and that's why you need that sort of attention to it. Public Contract Scotland, once again, that throws up a lot of opportunities. I think that was mentioned earlier, and we do monitor that very closely. And Tracker Intelligence, we monitor that very closely as well. And I can't remember just how much these things cost, but they're really good value for money, and it's really worthwhile, and updates come in continually. We're also registered on a number of other ones that we found. Well, sort of the Invest in the Northern Ireland one should be there, of course, and the Intent Host and etenders.gov.ie. So very much I would say we're learning our trade, but it's bringing in a lot of work. It's bringing in a lot of opportunities for terms of transactions, but also for partnering. We're finding that we are getting involved in more and more larger companies and partnering with them, and that gives us huge amount of visibility in terms of other people coming to us. Well, just to finish off, it's good to have all your policies in place. So I think that is the key thing. For instance, our pandemic, we actually had a pandemic. Early March, we were asked, one of our big clients is Channel 4. We do the scheduling of all of their adverts across the 21 channels. And we were called and said, look, we're going to need your pandemic policy before tomorrow morning, because we were presenting at 9 o'clock. Now, the chances of us having such a thing before we were involved in contracts there'd have been no chance. But the very fact it allows you to come across as professional and get all of those professional aspects in line to get ready for whenever those tenders are coming out. Okay, so I'll end there and say it's very much a learning experience. I have an awful lot more to learn, but I know there's great value in this, and I know it has affected the company very positively, and I will continue to spend a lot of time in terms of learning our trade here and getting involved with as many of this and fine-tuning our approach as possible. Thank you.